What is happening, you guys? And welcome to another episode of the Finn's Tailgate. I am your host, Achane, and tonight, on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we got a special guest in the house. Very special guest. Roll out the red carpet, bringing in the big guns on the precipice of the beginning of the NFL football season for the Miami Dolphins. Got plenty to talk about. Roster cuts, the purge. We're halfway there. Guys going on. We have a impending offer for a prime star running back that we're all waiting on bating breath to just see that come scrolling across the yonder to tell us that, hey, the Miami Dolphins pulled off another one. And we'll see. Listen, if this happens live during the show, we're going to let you know if that Jonathan Taylor signing comes. Don't worry. We'll be juiced. We're going to talk about it, too. We're also going to talk about, the players that have been cut, guys that, may still be cut. And, I'm bringing in Tobin from Tobin and Leroy. I can't wait to chop it up. So, guys, hit the like button on your way in. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter, make the mild journey over here to YouTube and hit the subscribe button, like button, and turn the notification bells on because we have tons of programming coming to you all day, every day, all football season. Myself, El Capitan with the Finn's Tailgate. You got color commentary with Coffee and a Cup of Color, and doing the morning shows with Top of the Tailgate with Ali the Persian. Also doing Broken Takes and Late Night Exhale. You got Shake Money and during the weeks and the afternoons. Doing some stuff with the drive times and the smoke lounge with Lou. Also doing cryptos in the mornings. Tonk on Tuesdays. KP with the fantasy. Lots. Cash App, Venmo, support the channel. Also become a member of the channel by hitting the join button. Great way. Fanatics link in the description and on the website. Make sure to use the link. Our friends over at W, make sure to use them as well. Use offer code TFTG to get 10% off your purchase. And also use our friends at Backroom Collections and use offer code TFTG as well to get 10%. You can find all this great stuff at our website with all our great gear. Sign up for the newsletter and get 10% off them.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Finn's Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Finn's Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
TFTGnetwork.com. I will waste no more time. I'm going to bring on Tobin because I got the goosies. What is up to the homie? What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for having me tonight. Appreciate it.
Oh, man, I'm glad you could roll through. This is prime time. We are in the moments. We got this Sunday, or wait, excuse me. What do we have? 2 more Sundays now?
Nah, one more Sunday free.
One more Sunday free. One more free Sunday. And that's it. We in the thick of it. This is going to be – this has got to be the Dolphins season this year. It has to be. Money's been getting thrown around this joint. Lots of big things we want answered around here. I don't know. To me, this team falls short of expectations. Big Boss Ross going to be coming around with that machete of his, I think. I don't know. He might be freaking out.
Yeah, it's so huge on so many reasons, and I do think that one of the things that a lot of the owners can't help is looking around town and seeing the success of others. And Stephen Ross, I remember back on a time when he did more press conferences, thought once the Heat didn't have LeBron anymore, that this was going to be undoubtedly a Dolphins town. And I do think that football runs so deep in the blood of South Florida. This is the heritage team that everybody cares about. They're dying for just to win a playoff win in nearly a quarter of a century. And I how can he not look around at what the Heat did, the Panthers did, hell, the Inter Miami having Messi, the Marlins were actually even decent for a stint. So how can he not look around town and be like, hey, this has to be the year? They finally had this super exciting offense last year, this innovative coach, a quarterback that the entire fan base seems to be rallying behind, star wide receivers. So yeah, man, it feels like it should all be in line for him. It's just, man, the AFC is a bear. It's a tough conference, but I do think that, he should have no reason not to expect a lot from his team.
I mean, listen, he's put his money where his mouth is. He bit the bullet. Chris Greer came to him those few years ago and said, we're going to blow this thing up. They had to pivot at the coaching position, rightfully so. It seems like that was the right move right now. We're not going to get in all the other nonsense, but, defense came up short last year without Brian Flores around. So they pivot again, make a blockbuster signing, getting Fangio here. Now, seems like in the preseason we're seeing some growing pains out of this defense. But I think I got an error on the side that we got a legend at defensive coordinator right now. He gonna get this figured out one way or another.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that first of all, as much as the old curmudgeon as you would want, like, doesn't really seem to be too pleased at giving anybody their flowers. That's not, honestly, probably Christian Wilkins and Javon Holland. Everybody else has kind of felt like they've been on the prove it list for Vic Fangio. And, I'm not too worried about the performance of other getting run up the gut. Like, they didn't have Christian out there. Sealer was a little bit banged up. So I'm not going to look too much into what happened there in the finale. I thought all in all, they did pretty decent, especially, you think back to that adverse situation they were in at the start of the second preseason game. And to hold the Texans to nothing there was pretty impressive. They did come up with that big play in the first Jaguars drive. So, but you're right, man. Like, look, it's a defense that feels like it has a lot of the right names. It just needed the guy to put it all together. He got paid a hefty price for it. He was flirting around with everybody, and then finally, decided that he will come to the Dolphins. And I really do hope that this is the guy who kind of puts it all together, because I don't think he gets like any honeymoon phase. I think, Vic Fangio's got to come in here right away and get things straightened out.
Yeah, there's gonna be no time to spare. That's just it. And you mentioned something. He is that old school guy, you know. But
very old school.
Very old school. I like that.
I did too. He's such a curmudgeon. He's calling the music noise. Doesn't partake in the social media. It's just everything you would. Where's that old, like, he looks like he's going hunting in the outback with that hat that he's got on. Like, it's just everything you would want in just a dude who has just seen a lifetime of football. That's what Fangs is bringing to the table.
He's out there in the friggin' safari right now with tall grass with a good old-fashioned powder gun. He's not out there with some new fancy nonsense. He's putting down big game. But also on the flip side, they've got probably the most player-friendly coach on offense. So you've got a good, duality, for lack of a, to give a good explanation, of having the guy that seems to be loved by players for his connectivity to them, being close in age, all that stuff. And on the opposite end of that, you've got a good old boy that just is like, hey, no nonsense, out there with a ruler smacking guys in the back of the knees, get your butt up, you know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of a different cat. Big names on this defense, money put into this defense. A shame that, our big free agent corner Ramsey went down. Yeah. But no excuses either, man. There's no time for excuses.
It's tough. Like, if you were going to look at one guy that you didn't want to go down, it's obviously the splash acquisition in Jalen Ramsey, like right at the start of camp. It just felt like he was going to bring a lot of what Tyreek Hill was going to bring to the offense as far as a championship swagger, a know-how of the defense, could just have such a great influence and let the other young guys kind of come along at their pace. And instead, like, you bring in, an Eli Apple who, like, nobody loves having Eli Apple on their team. He's just very experienced.
He's a guy.
He's a guy. And then the young guys are kind of foisted into probably a quicker role all of a sudden. So it's definitely a bummer. You do hope that it rings true that Jalen is a fast healer and is able to kind of be at a speedier timeline to come back. But, I don't think it's as dire as it was last year where, they were really scrounging. We didn't even know who the hell Cater Kohu was at this point last year. And now, they invest high draft picks into it. They got some guys coming back healthy. So I don't think it's as bad as it was last year. And you do feel like you have more capable hands who can lead them in the coaching staff.
Also too, in hindsight, looking at the defense's performance, especially towards the end of the year last year, wasn't as terrible as we made it out to be. There was some shortcomings and some very bad play calling by Boyer there in some situational football where we were like, yo, what's going on? Like everybody's looking at each other going, all right, this better work because it looks dumb right now, and it didn't work. So, it didn't look like it was going to work, and it didn't. So, but in hindsight, it wasn't the worst, and the star players on the team that are still here, obviously, we didn't lose any of these guys. I think we can count on them, but there is a little trouble brewing in paradise. There's reports coming out about Christian Wilkins as of late, and there's rumors going that, hey, maybe he's going to ask for a trade. He's turned down like $22 million plus a year. Do you think he's going to bet on himself this year? Could this be something we're looking at, I don't know. What do you think?
It's such a fascinating question because, coming into the year, it really did feel like probably the most drama-free Dolphins camp you can remember in a long time. There weren't any big quarterback rumors. And then this kind of just popped up because
Dolphins said, hold my beer.
Yeah, pretty much. He came in, he dominated the first couple of weeks of practice. They scrimmaged. He made his statement, and then all of a sudden he was kind of done doing team drills. And it's not the worst thing in the world, for him to hold in on that stuff because he's not going to skip practice. When it comes down to these real weeks and media can't watch what the players are doing, he's going to participate. He's not going to get fined for any of that stuff. Does he ask for a trade? I don't know. I think that for him, he's still got a pretty hefty salary this year. And I think worst comes to worst, he probably knows, the team would franchise him next year, which would probably be somewhere in the realm of $22 million.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also understand him also looking at situations and being like, all right, you bring in all these guys, a Bradley Chubb, a Tyreek Hill, maybe a Jonathan Taylor. They all get their contracts that they're asking for. And I'm sitting here as a draft pick. You asked me to be the figurehead of this defense, which I was. Yeah, maybe I don't get the sacks that that other guys do, but also I maybe had an ass clown calling my defense. So, there's all these things that we can't factor in and don't quite know because there's so many things that weigh into football. I do think Christian took a big leap last year, and I do think that with Vic Fangio, I could see him having a big year this year too. It was interesting, the Zach Sealer contract, because it was almost like the Dolphins are prepping for hey, you don't take care of your own. But, hey, we have this great story of, hey, we just took care of Zach Sealer, who's also very close to Christian Wilkins.
CYA.
Yeah.
That? Yeah.
Kind of.
Can't tell me I don't do right. What you mean? We took care of this guy.
And then not also surprising that after this is all coming out, now today we're getting the leaks of, well, he was offered, this much guaranteed.
$22+ million a year in guarantees.
That to me is kind of a classic media game because they know it's probably not going well. Well, here's what we're offering. Because the only thing that really would make sense of not taking care of him is if you think he's being unreasonable. And, it's a game. It's a game between both of them. I don't know if this ends up getting settled this year, but I don't think it means that Christian will necessarily demand out. I don't think so. But, listen, crazier things have happened.
It would be surprising with a guy I feel like Dolphin fans, I don't know, maybe a little projection here, but I think we all have a pretty good understanding of the Christian Wilkins guy. He's a frugal dude. He's a boisterous guy. He's a kind of a class clown, hard worker. No one's going to take that away from this guy. But he doesn't seem like the kind of dude that will let down his teammates, even though I don't think they might feel let down because they wish he was there, but none of them would hold that against him when he's trying to work things out contractually. That's part of the business. I think they all know that. But I just don't think I agree with you. I don't see him making a stink about it, but maybe he does ask for a trade. Maybe they make that a little bit of a open type of thing. Maybe it's a mid-season type of thing. I don't know. I always foreseen that we just franchise this guy. You got him. We really control him for the next 2 years beyond this season because you can double the franchise tag. And I'm just taking a shot in the dark, right? And this is just what I'm assuming, especially now. And I was assuming this before we heard these rumors about what the Dolphins have offered him and guarantees. I said, look, we owe him 10.7 this year. A franchise tag next year is probably going to be somewhere around 22 to 24 million. The following year, it's probably going to be around 24 million or potentially more. And if you took the average of that and made another year on top of it, they probably said, we'll give you that contract and guarantees and have all that plus with incentives. And that seems to be kind of right around, actually it's a little lower. They probably put a little more on that. But that seems to be somewhere where they started this contract. And I find it just kind of odd that now we're hearing Christian Wilkins wants that. He wants that big, big money. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, and I don't think I think that it's probably not that surprising when he does come out there and he lets it be known. I mean, Christian is, he does think of himself very highly. He's also a guy that, I think thinks of himself as the absolute leader of that defense. And so, when I think he sees a guy like Bradley Chubb get brought in and get $100 million contract right away, I just think it's something that people will naturally take note of because he probably thinks to himself, well, at the end of last year, when we're making this push and the offense can't score anymore, the guy who was probably spearheading all of us dragging through these muck games was me when Bradley Chubb was out there with one hand, and so I think that's
he had
probably
all his sacks in the end of the season too. He did turn it up towards the end of that year. You're right.
I think it's probably something that he's looking upon, and I do think that is asking for the number one defensive lineman contract a lot for him. Yeah, probably. It probably is. It's probably a little outrageous. But I think that when you're the Dolphins, here's the thing, that when you go and get the highest paid wide receiver and you get the highest paid running back, when you're a guy drafted into the organization and you've really done everything they've asked you to be, gone through tanking and been the good face and been the guy that irritates Josh Allen, I understand why he gets to the point of, well, why isn't it my turn to get the biggest amount out of anybody when we pay everybody else the biggest amount? Byron Jones was the highest paid cornerback while he was there. Then he saw X become the highest paid cornerback while he was there. So I think that Christian Wilkins is probably looking at me like, well, you're not, so you set up the market for all these guys, but not for me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I can understand why he gets to that process after seeing how his owner spends, which this is what we all love. We love the fact that Stephen Ross spends crazy money on everybody and is willy-nilly. And now it's come to the time when you do a rebuild, your own guys are kind of coming up for it. But is it ultimately going to have a hindrance on the season? I don't think so, because I think for as making a stink, this was about as little a stink as you can make. It's like a little squeaker in an elevator with some strangers. It ain't like a wet one in church. So he's probably like, all right, cool, made my point. It's not going to get done. And then, okay, let's go wreck shop. Let's see if he can get his sack numbers up. And then, hell, we'll see what the number is. It may be even too expensive for the Dolphins to want to franchise him next year. So that's the thing that he's probably looking at. I mean, at worst, he's getting his money double next year. But at best, he maybe found himself an even more lucrative deal next year.
Yeah, I think if he hits the open market, he going to get that bag he wants to get. That's probably, even if his sack numbers don't take a step up and it just remains the same, and he has these type of tackles for loss, he's a stat patter in a way. He hits all those numbers a little bit. Yeah, I think he'd still get those numbers, because you know how it is when you're on the free agent market and you're bringing in a guy. He could very well easily be the guy that a new defensive coach takes over a team, wants to implement his scheme. Christian Wilkins is the centerpiece. I'm going to build my defense around him. That organization throws him $90 million in guarantees for a 5-year deal or whatever it is. It happens every single year.
For sure. And he's not really, the thing is, like, normally when you get a guy on the free agent market, there's some kind of flaw with it. Look at Teron Armstead. There's usually some kind of hey, he's kind of banged up. Hey, he's a little bit older. If Christian Wilkins hits the market at 28, the guy
that'd be the only thing, though. It would be that he's a little older than you would pay on that first deal by about 2 years. That's about it.
Yeah, but that's not much. And it's
the small sack numbers and the smaller snack numbers for the money. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's but I think ultimately he is going to get to the point whenever the first time that he speaks to the media about it. I honestly think he's going to no sell it, because I think he kind of did his last time out where he basically said, I don't want this to be a distraction, and I think I've earned my contract. I really don't see him as the type of guy who is going to be making a stink at the podium when people ask him about it, because normally, yeah, you'll get asked about it one time, and then what are you? You're going to badger it as reporters, like, unless he actually is holding out. It's not really going to become a thing after the next time he talks, which will probably be sometime during game week leading up to the Chargers, and he may say, I just want to focus on the Chargers, and that's that.
I think that's ultimately where we'll find ourselves. I think just the meat and potatoes of the conversation is, and he turned down $22+ million guaranteed a year. He must, if the rumors are true. We know how rumors are, and then they're like assholes, and everybody got some, what I mean? And speaking of rumors, Jonathan Taylor, man, the smoke is heavy and thick. It seems to be that now there's as of the last 24 hours. In the beginning, a day ago, it seemed like the Dolphins were the lone bidder. The other teams that we're talking have pulled out. Dolphins have the highest bid in. Now we're hearing this dark horse, this mysterious dark figure hiding in the shadows that's bidding on this. I think we're getting some smoke and mirrors from these Colts on this whole thing right now, saying that there's somebody talking to them and bidding against the Dolphins, trying to get us to bid against ourselves. What do you make of this situation?
Oh yeah, I think it's a load of horse crap. Like, it's like I think the dark shadowy figure is probably just Jim Irsay going on another bender, just like hiding behind something. Like, I don't buy that there's another, because honestly, like, let's think about it. It's pretty wild that the Dolphins are actually in this spot where they are going to be willing to pay a big contract to a running back, because nobody's doing this. They would literally be doing something. You saw all these star running backs this year. They're all basically just got 1-year bumps. And yeah, I get it. Jonathan Taylor's age, he's 24 years old, although he's coming off an injured season. I'm not saying I'm against it, but like, to say that there's these, teams lining up willing to give him the bag, I don't necessarily buy that, but I think that Irsay would love it if his disgruntled player that he doesn't value went for a first-round pick. So I think he's trying to make the illusion that there's this rabid market that's out there for him, and that's what happens. Like, they play this game.
They did the same stuff with Wentz, remember?
Yeah,
They did the exact same bit with Wentz, and nobody bid on that either.
Yeah, so I don't think that there is this. Now, does that mean that he's going to come off of his high horse because he may just want to be a bastard about it? That could definitely happen. He set this whole Tuesday deadline. Now, he could, swerve on that, I guess, until the trade deadline, whenever they want. I mean, they're the ones who made the deadline. But, I don't think there's this robust market for him, because they just look at the position and I think, well, there's not this robust market for any of these guys at running back. And whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but it's just what the facts are. The thing that's interesting about it is that the Dolphins have really seemed to be around every single star running back. There's been rumors about that. We know the Dalvin Cook thing. We beat that into the ground.
Saquon Barkley,
right.
the Josh Jacobs, all been confirmed too at this point. They've been calling up everybody.
Right. So, which is interesting, because it's like, you look at a running back room that has guys that are McDaniel guys, and he seems to have a great affinity for, but it's clearly something that he's juiced up to try and get somebody elite. And you know that he leans on his stars because we saw what he did with Tyreek Hill last year. So, I think it could just be as simple as that. Is like his guys are good. He wants the best.
I mean, dude, this team, look, right now, I think, again, things going according to plan. This team on both sides of the ball, coaching staffs included, is pretty legit. This is a competitive team, and if things click and guys stay healthy, we got a good a shot as anybody in the AFC.
I agree. Look, I think that they everything's there for them. We know what the obvious things are, and the obvious things for the most part aren't talent questions. They're just durability questions, which I get. The quarterback has had his durability issues. The left tackle has had his durability issues. Jalen Waddle has had some durability issues. So, those I think are fair questions. They're a team that, are a couple of injuries away and guys with injury past. Like, I know you can say that with any football team, but they're guys that have track records of getting hurt. But as far as the talent's concerned, like, yeah, I think that they could stack up with anybody. And I do think that Jets are a bit of a wild card. What is Aaron Rodgers going to be? Were they a little bit smoke and mirrors on their record of their defense last year?
They had some easy matchups too. That defense.
And then the Bills have had a lot of drama around them, and kind of
how many times can we run it back with the Bills and it's going to work this time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they made
a
lateral move, but what I was getting at is you sprinkle a you sprinkle a Jonathan Taylor on this team. I'm not feeling like we got as good a shot as anybody. I'm taking that money to the bank. I'm putting us to win the AFC East. Like, that puts talent-wise out in front, I think. Dynamic of with this run game, forcing defenses to load the box, which you can't do with weapons like we have on the outsides. How do you game plan? How do you stop this?
Yeah, and that's, I think, the thing that's so tempting about it is that, they have nice guys in the backfield, and I do think that they're very capable, but I don't know if defense coordinators are left up at night thinking about Mostert and Wilson. I think that they're going to go into every week thinking to themselves, all right, got to stop the two fast receivers. How do we do that? But if you add Jonathan Taylor to the mix, then it just adds a whole new wrinkle to it that, this is a guy in his prime, one of the best in the league. It's I get the appeal of it. And I think that the Dolphins are definitely, as we said at the top of this thing, Receiver Ross is getting old. He's not like trying to wait this thing out anymore. He's not seen a playoff win in his tenure as owner. And I'm sure that's at like the bare minimum of what he wants for this season, if not farther.
I think the lack of championships, the Super Bowls, how we ended up with tennis court and F1 racing. He's like, I got to win some more stuff because this football team's letting me down. You know what I'm saying? And it's letting us down. I think we deserve it, Tobin. I don't know about you, but I think I deserve it. I've been holding on. I need this. I need it.
I know that the fan base deserves it. Like they have been dying for a lot of this stuff for a long time. And, you think about all of the long suffering heritage fan bases in all sports, whether it was the Red Sox or the Cubs, man, we're talking in the 70s now of the last Super Bowl. Like, you're talking about grandparents have gone away from that time. Like it's a long time waiting. It's long suffering. And, you had a generational quarterback who never got to get over the top. What this town would be like if that happened, I can't even imagine. It'd be absolutely bananas. But I think that for people to stick through it the way that they have, and just want to believe in anything as far as it's concerned, I think this one actually has like some legitimacy to believe this thing can contend. But yeah, people are dying for anything. That's one thing that I dug about McDaniel, when he took the gig, is like kind of acknowledging like how passionate this fan base has been for it, because I know that Miami kind of gets that. We know what the raps are that it gets nationally, but this is like very genuinely a long suffering fan base that's looking for just some serious elite winning and to have some hope at a real contender. And this, if you get Jonathan Taylor, like, I don't really know what the excuses could possibly be, even if the AFC is as stacked as it is.
they're man, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, and to the point you were making, it's a blue collar football state, town, people. I mean, for people that don't live in Florida and watch in other places, I mean, you've got sports related, football related stuff everywhere. You go to Little Plaza, there's a sports medicine guy for athletic injuries, and there's trainers. There's the 7 on. I mean, it's everywhere in our culture. It's in our blood. And yes, there's Tampa fans. Yes, there's Jaguar fans. But deep down, they all started out as Dolphin fans. Let's be real. And these Dolphins, when this team is on top and playing well, this state, this town, this fan base, it just moves a whole different way. And it's time for us to be back where it is. And to me, the dynamic of adding this last elite weapon into this offense, man, I can't remember a team so loaded all over the place like that. And Chris Greer, hats off to him to even be in position. You know, something I've always kind of appreciated, but something I think every year the fan base pulls their hair out about, is how patient the guy is. It came all the way down where they were pulling their hair out. We're not doing nothing, da-da-da. And then, bam, they signed Teron Armstead. You know, he tinks it all the way down to the wire, and then he makes it right. I'm hoping he pulls another rabbit out of that hat with this thing. And this time tomorrow, we're celebrating buying our Jonathan Taylor jerseys.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, you think like it's such a great way to put it, because, you know, he could have probably up the ante on Dalvin Cook and
totally
had him. I mean, Dalvin Cook was flirting with the Dolphins so heavy, and, you know, they didn't. You know, they had their price point. So I do think that if it comes to a point where they're going to give up assets for Jonathan Taylor, real stuff for Jonathan Taylor, and then on top of it pay him, yeah, it's a risk. I mean, like, especially it's bucking the trend of what everybody's doing for a running back, but you also just don't get a running back at this age who, you know, would likely be like, what, 27, 28 by the end of the deal anyway. And you're probably at a whole, the NFL goes such cycles anyway, outside of your quarterback, hopefully. You're probably restructuring the whole damn thing by then anyway. So yeah, you got to strike while the iron's hot, especially before you got to pay your QB. So we'll see. I think it would be absolutely fun, and he definitely has had a propensity to nail these pitches when he's swinging for the fences lately.
You know what else too, man? It's what the Dolphins used to do all the time. We set the trend. It's been untrending with the running backs. We know the running backs had their committee meeting. They're fighting for more money. Jonathan Taylor could be the poster boy for why running backs deserve to get paid more out of the pass game, out of the run game, out of the blocking. He comes on this team. He's going to get great opportunities with the ball in his hands to make big plays, because how we're going to have defenses spread out. If we do trade for him and pay him, I don't see any way where it looks negative to the NFL and to the fan base. Dolphins really got screwed out of that pick. You know, that whole setup, man. This is why you don't pay run. I mean, could it? Yes, but like, to me, it could also be a good thing for what those players are trying to get accomplished as well.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time believing that, like, the reason that the Dolphins don't make the playoffs this year, if there's something that goes awry, I'd have a hard time believing it'd be Jonathan Taylor. Like, if if you're telling me that happens, probably something catastrophic happened health-wise, either to the line or to Tyreek or something like that. But, like, if you told me it was just an actual, this guy is completely washed, you saw the numbers start to fall off, I'd be pretty surprised if that happened by next year. But I mean, like, they have to be thinking to themselves, like, you know, you don't want to get caught up with, like, a little bit. It kind of looked like they were by the end of last year and then going on that West Coast trip. You do want to make yourself more dynamic, make yourself more special. And, you know, this certainly would do that and make things even more difficult to guard, you know, to maybe the best wide receiver tandem in the league, and make things easier on your quarterback, who you do want to protect and you do want to, you know, have him in a good spot for success. So this would certainly do that.
Yeah, man, I just wanted. I was hoping that it was going to happen today, and we'd be champion this. This would, I mean, gosh, bro, it's hard, but so people are getting cut. It's happening. We're here. I think we're down to 75 now. Gonna get the full cut downs. Any surprising names that you saw cut? There's James Blackman, that quarterback, that we got. Guys like Kiki Katu, AJ Johnson. These are guys we knew. But
yeah,
Mitchell Agudier, I liked what I seen out of him. That guy's a friggin' house, dude. Holy cow. He is huge. Any surprise names?
I would say from the first wave, not really. Agudier was definitely a guy like on the pregame show we were talking about every single week as like is definitely going to be on the bubble.
Yeah.
And I think you see with one of the things Vic's very very critical of is his linebackers and even with David Long, like I think is like we've all been kind of impressed with some of the big hits that he's put out there, but he's like, no, like he's got to be more consistent. I got to be able to trust him to go out there and be able. So definitely a guy who he's not going to, I think, waste time on guys he doesn't feel like he's ever going to be able to trust to put out there. So that
Aubrey
is
Miller. Aubrey Miller getting the axe too. I think, good story. Probably a guy that if they have their way will end up right away back on the practice squad. Both him and Agudier. Something that was brought out by Ian Rappaport early, but the Dolphins didn't release this. Malik Reed expected to be released. Dolphins haven't put that as a fact, but I don't know how Rappaport would have got that so wrong. I think that's a big surprise if Malik Reed gets released.
It could be one of these things where like they just didn't, they were off today. Maybe they didn't get him in the building and they didn't directly tell him. So they just don't put that out as an official release. Like these could have just been the guys they officially spoke to. So I don't think he probably is making that up. I imagine that's like something he's got to tie in with an agent and he just knows. So that's what I would guess. Like, even McDaniel was talking yesterday. He's like, I don't want to mention who officially is the number 2 quarterback until I talk to these guys. So I think that's all that probably comes down to when you got to cut as many guys as they do. Why they probably do it in the first wave, second wave is like, these are the guys that I think we knew. And then they're probably parsing down, like, what are the tougher choices?
Yeah, makes sense. And that's definitely a Mike McDaniel style too. He's not the guy that you find out, on ESPN or reading the newspaper, you done lost your job.
It was crazy. He was like, oh, this is the worst day of my life. I hate this day. And I was like, all right, man, like, can somebody get this guy a club soda? Like, just like let him.
Yeah, calm down,
I felt bad for him. And I was like, I get it. It's a difficult part of the job. But like, also, you probably know, like, all right, this dude didn't have a shot.
Yeah, I ain't got time to coach this one up. You know what I'm saying? This guy ain't working out. Yeah, I feel him on that. I think he's an empathetic person, but yeah,
he's the ultimate players coach. Like, and like when you're the ultimate players coach, you got to be players coach for everybody.
That's right. You got to maintain the image, bro. You got to maintain the image. So I don't know. I know Dolphin fans are looking now, taking Jonathan Taylor out of this equation. A lot of Dolphin fans are looking at this Chris Brooks guy, the running back. I'm not off the dude. I think he's a different dynamic in our running back room, and I see a lot what they're talking about. I just don't. I mean, his stop and go speed is a little bit concerning to me. When he's coming downhill, I think he's pretty good and he's hard to tackle and he squares up pretty well. I don't know so much on his breakaway speed, especially against the ones. Didn't get to see any of that. His stop and go speed, I think there's something to be, when he's
and I think that it's like one of those things like. They may look at it as like just a change of pace thing. The Taylor thing is going to be interesting with the acquisition of it, but I think that's, the one thing that's been great about the running back battle between all of this is that because they've had so much success running the ball in the preseason, to even like open our eyes up to, oh man, like I don't want this guy to go. I don't want this guy to go. Cause every guy seems to be going out there and just getting chunk yardage. That honestly is kind of just an encouraging thing going into the season, because my guy Leroy, who I do the show with every weekday, longtime NFL running back, dude is like listening to him speak football is like listening to somebody speak a different language, but obviously had a lot of success running the football. And he was honestly explaining to me, he goes, he's like, believe me when I tell you this, it's more impressive to run for 200 yards in a preseason game than it is a regular season game. And I'm like, that sounds ridiculous. Why would you say that? He goes, because nobody's trying to trick you. It's really just a mano-a-mano fight. It's like, you're not doing any game planning. You're not like putting your best trickery out there. You're not trying to gimmick the system. It's just, how can we beat these guys up? And, I think that maybe will trickle out into something for the regular season, and definitely probably an identity that McDaniel wants to get to, but I think also has shown, like, you can see that all these guys in the system seemed capable of putting up numbers. And I think that was what's so impressive and why eyes have been open up to guys like Chris Brooks.
Yeah. And shout out to Leroy. I was going to say that I was going to show you this later, but I've got a Leroy Horde mint condition card right here.
Look at those shoulder pads.
Yeah, look at those shoulder pads right there. Back when he was on the Browns. I actually have 2 of these. So I'm going to try to get this to the studio or some way, somehow, to get it to Leroy. I don't know if he's got any, but I got a mint condition.
Make sure, we got to do like a direct connect, because we will get a lot. I will say, Leroy, not great about the mail-in cards. But if you get it to me directly, I will get it to him to make sure that happens.
Yeah, I want to make sure he's got one, because you know what? They're going to turn around. You're going to be able to get none. You know what I'm saying? He's going to need to have one. I've seen that. I got 2 of those exact same cards, so he can definitely have one. Yeah, there's a great point. A lot of vanilla plays in the preseason. A lot of plus you're probably running behind not starters as well. And guys on defense. Everybody's trying to kill you because they're trying to get noticed. The full nines. There's a lot to consider. But we're already seeing a little bit of nicks and bang-ups in our running back room. Jeff Wilson, where's he been? Salvan Ahmed gets his head cracked, on his neck, for crying out loud. Devon Achane's already a little nicked up. Go get Jonathan Taylor and fix our lives, please. Yeah,
and it does feel like Ahmed, like the guy,
what else could break?
You don't even know if he was going to make the team, but like, what else can he do to make the team? Like, you think about like where he's getting plowed over by Brooks in the second game, he gets hit. Then on top of that was putting up numbers with big runs. Like, that guy really did put everything into winning a roster spot. So it'd be pretty cruel if he didn't get one, because his performance definitely warranted getting one.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he surpassed Gaskin, who has been the litmus test for the Dolphins last few years. He ain't the fastest, he ain't the biggest, he ain't the strongest, but I'll be damned if that man ain't doing everything well. All right, he does it. You can count on him. But Gaskin, he'll end up on another roster playing some football. I think he's dynamic enough. But I think it's pretty safe to say Salvan Ahmed has surpassed him in this pecking order to end up on the 53-man roster potentially. Outside if Taylor gets here. Now, maybe he still ends up on the roster if in this Taylor Swaparooski they want one of these running backs.
Right.
That might be, hey, maybe they want Salvan. I don't know.
And maybe that's why they're not pushing Jeff Wilson too much, because maybe that's like,
ooh, I don't know. Yeah. Jeff Wilson's been hurt. We can't show him. Or maybe they do want him and they've been keeping him on ice for him.
Possible.
Yeah, possible. So a couple of questions going into the season, a couple of talking points. We've mentioned a few of them. I would say that at the forefront of Dolphins' concerns, we talked completely about high expectations. Team is absolutely legit on all places on paper. Okay, I think the number one concern is that hinges that could affect the whole team. Obviously, is the quarterback.
Of course,
if these injury concerns continue, but the jiu-jitsu seems to be paying off. We see the videos, the rolling around. I know I got a kid that does some jiu-jitsu.
Same.
I know you got one that's doing a little something as well. I think it's paying off. So
I like it. First of all, I thought it was such a cool thing because you're missing, my favorite sport like out of the mainstream ones. I'm a huge combat sports fan, so
I love it. Oh my god!
When I heard about this, I was very, very excited. I was excited when I thought it was judo. I was excited when turned out to be jiu-jitsu. And I thought it was a really, really great idea. And it was funny, like the same time this stories were coming out, like it was literally like right as my son was starting to do this. And I was like, oh, it's kind of smart because it's like the first thing they teach you, at least for youth. And my son's school is the break fall. It's like the class 1 day 1 thing you do, and the thing they literally warm up doing is protecting your head on a fall. And then they start doing a lot of different things of tucking their head and rolling and tucking their head and doing back somersaults. And so, like, at least in particular with my kids' class, like in beginners, like they were doing this stuff to all protect their head, but also be able to move in a contact sport. So when I heard that, I was like, oh man, that seems like a really, really interesting idea. And then, naturally I have a lot of guests on from the UFC world, and one of them is Gilbert Burns, who is a monster Dolphins fan. And if you guys don't know who he is, he's one of the best UFC welterweights on the planet, 170 pounds. He trains here in Deerfield Beach, and his 2 kids are just monster Tyreek Hill fans. So even though they're Brazilian, like they've become just rabid Dolphins fans. And
I love it.
So he's like, yeah, like this is the thing you can like avoid. Like he told us one wild story of like a dude like he knew like avoiding like injury on a motorcycle crash. And I was like, I don't know if I believe this story, but I want to.
Yeah, I like it.
For the sake of
he's like, hey, wait a minute. Remember my training. Been waiting for this.
So he loved it. I talked to Max Holloway, who loves Tua. They're both from Hawaii, UFC legend, and he was like they were both offering to train him if he ever wanted to. I don't know if he got word of the injury of the interviews or not, but I think a lot of people.
You know what? I actually heard Tua got in the ring and beat both those guys with his train, and that's the word on the street.
You don't want to let the like Jalen Waddle said. Don't let them get those paws on you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the word.
I felt like Tua when he watched the Ryan Clark thing. I felt like he was watching some David Tua back in the day.
Bro,
the old
was
heavyweight.
Heated.
He was a
Ryan Clark.
Dude.
Ryan Clark put on them skates quick too. Boys like, oh, I just want to apologize. I didn't realize the severity. Man, Tua was ready to get scrappy.
I think that with that was also interesting. I do think that Tua's bought himself something in the idea of like, man, the guy just handles himself with class. So like, if you really do feel like you offended him, I do feel like you're genuinely going to feel like a jerk. Like, wow, I didn't know that he was actually going to take offense to it, because he's been through so much media.
Bro, I've given him pieces of it too, bro. Like I was upset at the start of this career, like everybody. But I don't think anyone can look at what he did last season and not see the vision of a quarterback that's going to be lethal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So just for him to have his support is great. But I thought the jiu-jitsu was a stroke of genius, and he seems like it's really paid off. And not surprising. I mean, the guy is a workhorse. So to see him get to this, to see it implemented already is pretty cool. Yeah. Off topic, you guys, you and your little one doing competitions with the jiu-jitsu yet? Been doing the circuit? No, not yet. He's just kind of like getting the hold of it, because like one of the things is he's one of the younger kids in his class, so he does spend a lot of the time like having to deal with just like 10-year-olds and getting out of mount, having to buck kids. But he's actually getting really good at like reversing stuff now. So good. I don't think he'll probably do anything until he maybe gets to like a gray belt or something like that. But he loves the hell out of it. He enjoys going. We'll go like 3 times a week. Oh man, yeah. We're doing it 3 times a week as well. My son's also doing football, but my daughter does it and started going to competitions. They got this circuit called NAGA, N-A-G-A. Man, I'll tell you what, I've did wrestling, did boxing, did football, for myself personally. And watching kids play, man, the adrenaline you'll get when that's going, it's really awesome, bro. For sure. With the fighting world, but man, with the kids and that, it was really fun, man. We have a great time. But just all right, let's get back on. I just thought I figured I'd let you know because that's something I'm assuming you guys are gonna be doing probably in the years to come potentially. It is awesome. It is worth it. You'll have a blast. Can't wait for you to experience it, man. It is awesome. Another concern, I feel very good about Tua. I like, how he's handling himself. No one's going to say the man didn't do what he could in the offseason to prepare himself to be better quarterback as a professional. You can't take nothing away from the guy. I think we all expect that of him. He's always done that. Devon Achane. Now, he is a little banged up, but can this guy be what we heard early in camp? We did see some flashes. We were hearing some of the best hands on the team, his route running abilities. It's going to take him a little bit of time, especially because he seems to be a little sore. Maybe not. Maybe he comes out week 1. I don't know. Where are your expectations with Devon Achane?
They're not huge, especially knowing that he's been dealing with some injuries, and knowing that they've definitely been looking. It seems to improve in the backfield. Like, I don't have monster expectations for him, but I don't think that he's a weapon they can't uncork at some point. Obviously, the guy's got all-world speed, which is something that is just a staple here, former track star. So I think that that's something that if you're going to ask anybody, like, who's going to be able to utilize that, Mike McDaniel's going to raise his hand very quickly. And I think that, I would expect this is somebody who gets probably like, little bites at the apple probably early on, and then like we'll see if he takes to it and they trust him more. Like as the year goes on, maybe they go towards him more. But I do think that the injuries have definitely probably put a monkey wrench into the whole the momentum that he had, because it did feel like the hype was getting crazier as the joint practices were going on and as the fans were getting there. Everybody's talking about Achane and what he can do, and then we see some of the big runs that he uncorks in the preseason. And we're all getting giddy for this, but he is still a rookie. I do think that ultimately, even if there is no Jonathan Taylor move, let's just say it sticks with what it is. I do think that McDaniel's still going to go with his two vets early in the going, and then they'll sprinkle Devon Achane in until like it's okay, he could be the guy.
Yeah, it'll be his job to potentially snatch, grab out of this guy. So I was able to get to camp this year just for a day and check it out, and that boy's contact balance is real. He can take a hit, and it's like his legs and hips flex the other half of his body to absorb the impact, but they keep moving forward, and he just like springs back up to follow him. It was pretty. He's impressive. But not to get off topic with the JT again, but like. There 3 out of the 4 running backs we have all have a little bit of nicks, and the one that isn't, Raheem Mostert, hasn't really had a great injury history. No. I think that's where we're all kind of I see why they're trying to add a guy, but we can still hold out hope that things don't go. I'm not, oh my God, pulling my hair out. If we don't add a running back, we're not going to be shit this year. You know what I mean? So
I definitely find it to be like it definitely feels like a luxury signing. That's why I think we saw them. Look, if you're in all these talks for all these star running backs, it's clearly something you're interested in improving on, but it's also like they had their price point. Like they weren't going to get fleeced for a deal. They weren't going to go and pay over the top, because certainly with the way the market is with this particular position, man, if a team did want to get desperate, someone's going to take it. And I do think that one of the things you have to appreciate with Chris is that he does seem to have his limit of what he spends, and whether that be assets or contract, and he sticks to it. And especially when it comes to the circumstance of player, what that deal is going to be, age. And I do think that with Jonathan, like certainly the idea that he's only 24 plays into a big role of this, because it almost feels like, man, there's kids out of college who are 23 and coming onto the team. So, now you're getting a guy who's basically, pretty fresh. Yeah, he's had one injury that he's coming off of, but you still feel like you'll get some pretty good years out of him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I agree with that. I would say moving on to another concern as the season going up, we know it's unfortunate Jalen Ramsey went down. I think, we can stay optimistic and go, hey, listen, he gonna be back just in time for the Super Bowl run. Not, you know what I'm saying? He gonna be here in time to make the impact. But in the meantime, who do we go to as this replacement? I mean, we got this Cam Smith kid. He looked good in practice. I seen him get burned on a double move for a touchdown against the Jags. He has some decent tackling, but he is a young guy. We got the Noah Igbenogany, who sometimes it looks like he's got such tight coverage. Quarterbacks are completely, not targeting him. And then other times it looks like he can't find the ball.
Right.
The ball's in the air. He just don't know where it's at. And who goes? What do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the unsexy answer, and that they'll probably start off with like Eli Apple, and go in that direction. And then as Vic trusts Cam more, I think he'll get the first crack at it. I'm not a big believer in Noah Igbenogany. I don't care that he's super young. Dude, like if you're getting inactive that many games, like they can't find any use for you anywhere. And great. Yes, you won a game last year when they were dwindled down, and shout out. He'll always have that moment. But even when all of this was happening, everybody like,
he'll have that money too, though. Don't forget, he'll have that money he got too, not just the
money. Oh yeah, for sure.
He got money.
For sure. Yeah. The first round money is definitely nice, but I think that you think too, oh man, like the standard of it was, Noah's not getting roasty toasted in practice, like he's not getting embarrassed in practice. Like, well, that's the standard of our former first round pick. And so I think with Cam, there has been some excitement that people have had. Like the guy's made plays in practice. The guy has had some nice breakups. The guy's made his impact known. And he's gotten burned in a preseason game. He's probably going to get burned at the regular season at some point too. Like I don't think anybody's expecting him to walk out there and be Sauce Gardner like right out of the bat.
I am. What are you talking about? This man's going to be better than Sauce Gardner. Damn it. Maybe. What do you mean?
But I think that one of the things that's good about this year that is at least a slight advantage going into this year as opposed to last year is one, hopefully Xavier Howard is completely healthy and back because he was playing very hindered last year and very banged up last year. I think that he feels like he's got something to prove. I think that, hey, we saw the last time that he had a teammate that was paid higher than him at cornerback. He wanted to go and try and prove himself yet again. So he's got that level of it. Money's a good motivator.
Give me a petty Xavier Howard any day of the week, boy. Give me that guy any day of the week.
And and so you have that. Cater's got the experience under his belt already, which is great. I mean, who the hell knew who he was coming into last year? We're like, Cater, who?
He's out of Nowheresville, USA, too, man. What a snag.
To have that at least solidify going into this, and I'm not Eli Apple sometimes is an easy target and a meme, and his own teammate has said that has had many not nice things to say about him in the past when they were opponents in Tyreek Hill, but he's experienced, and especially if it's just manning the fort till Jalen gets back, they should be in an okay spot. I'm not overly concerned with that. Safety's another concern because I don't really know, Elijah Campbell getting hurt, and
that's a big hurt, bro. A lot of people are that's a big loss right now with this team because he's a big time special teams guy.
Yep.
I know he's not a super big name, but to me, that Elijah Campbell going down sucks, bro.
Him and then Brandon Jones. We're not really quite sure what the hell's up with Brandon right now, what his recovery is. So I mean, if I was a DB spot, I'm a little bit even more nervous about. It's probably the other safety spot next to Holland right now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like what's his name, Deshaun Elliott's gonna be all right.
Hopefully,
what I'm saying. As that second dude, I mean, look, if Brandon Jones can come back and be who he was before he got injured, we're gonna be straight. Because that guy's a gamer. The Vic Fangio scheme, I think we're hoping for it to get figured out with this guy. I was hoping, typically defenses start fast and the offenses kind of get a little bit going. I think it's gonna be a little bit flip flopped on us this year. So it's just another guy I'm going to be watching closely in this defense Jalen Phillips, does he take that big leap this year, man? Because I feel like he's just so close last year so many times that, a half a tick, a better angle on a couple of these plays, he could be in double-digit sacks. What do you think about Jalen?
I mean, the dude looks like an absolute monster. I mean, the guy's basically like he looks like the Hulk with his shirt off.
He's an Adonis, bro. I wish I need to get in the gym.
He definitely will make you feel bad about the carbs you eat. But,
yeah, I feel terrible.
Look, everybody raves about him. I think that's the thing that people love the talent that's there. I mean, the guy's basically been a blue chipper his entire, college and NFL career. He's just had some weird adversity to deal with, like with concussions when he was super young at UCLA, and then obviously ended up with the Canes down here. But it feels like it's all set up for him that he could. I mean, aside from having Bradley Chubb there, and you think about disgruntled or not, like his defensive line, the three top guys at least, they're there for support. So yeah, I do think that Jalen Phillips is not like going to be this guy who can be snuffed out. And does feel like he's just maturing before our eyes with some of the moves that he's got out there. And for me, I think that it's all there for him to have a breakout year, and that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, look, that was a great draft. That Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips pickups, man, those were the both picks that I wanted the most with our picks. And one could be better than the other when it's all said and done. They're both pretty damn good. So I want to watch both those guys. I know Waddle, it's going to be hard to be Tyreek Hill-ish with Tyreek Hill around, but he showed us last year he certainly is not no slouch. He ain't losing his numbers and yards and stuff like that. I'm not too worried about what I think to be the best wide receiver duo in the NFL.
No, I think that I can't wait to see what Jalen Waddle does, man. Like seeing, what he's added to his frame and still like keeping those routes super crisp. I'm excited. I mean, who the hell, what Dalvin Van isn't excited doing his touchdown celebration. And then like, you think about like, man, some of the moments that he had of adversity last year were like, you think about the fumble that he had in the Vikings game or the big drop that he had in the playoff game. Like there's still room for him to get better, which is kind of crazy because he's putting up franchise record numbers for first 2 years with the team as a wide receiver. Him and Tyreek are a record tandem already. So that's, I think, the scary thing with Jalen is like, you look at where he's at in his career, just going to this third year. Yeah. Like there's still, it doesn't feel like he's necessarily reached the ceiling yet. And then
no, it doesn't, does it? It doesn't even, It doesn't. It really doesn't think that. It seems like this kid, he's still young, but it seems like this young man is he gonna be the dude for a long time. That's what it feels like. So, one more thing I want to get. Let me check that. What do you think of the O-line situation right now? I know Dolphin fans are tripping. They are tripping hard. They want Chris Greer to buy every offensive lineman known to man. They want perceptive answers at all 5 starts. And this Connor Williams high snap. Woo. I mean, dude, it's like I sat on my, I'm not into it. Like I sat wrong.
That was one of the, Connor Williams was one of the funny ones because like when he held out of minicamp, I was like, really? I was like, he held out of minicamp? The guy who wasn't a center that they made a center out of nowhere? Like they saved his career with a new position and now he wants to get a new contract? And I just found that funny. Like normally I'm like, all right, player holds out, who cares? But that one during minicamp, I was like, that's the lamest holdout I've ever heard. And then like to come out here and you're snapping the damn ball over to his head left and right in the preseason. Like, is that his element of like a hold-in? Like, is he sabotaging Tua? I don't know what's going on there, but I honestly came into this hoping like, oh yeah, Connor Williams, he's got that down. Like, let's not overthink this, but yeah, dude, like get your damn snaps together. I don't know what's going on here.
Bro, my nightmare. I'm getting night sweats with this nightmare because we've seen quarter or centers snap the ball on 1 when it should have been on 2. He snaps the ball, nobody on the line moves, and everyone comes running free. He couples that with a high snap. He gonna get Tua murdered. He gonna get him to obliterate. It's gonna be reminiscent of what we saw with Cameron Wake and Ndamukong Suh chopping the Jets quarterback in half. He just got split down the middle. I don't think that guy made it. I haven't heard from him since. I don't think he made it.
It's yeah, man. It definitely it's crazy because it felt like, all right, Connor Williams definitely one of the set spots. Obviously, the biggest concern, unfortunately, people talk about Tua and his durability, but like, guy I'm most scared of is Armstead, man. Like he's the anchor to all of it, and he's good for missing 4 games a year. And last year he's like, oh, I could have had surgery and missed the whole year, and now he gets hurt in a practice and is like putting up mysterious videos to make himself not as injured, look as injured as he is, and then he's on crutches. So honestly, I thought I was going to come into this season and say, oh, left guard is my biggest concern. But I think that Armstead's health is my biggest concern right now. I'm just like, I hope that he's okay. If he's okay, cool. And then I think everybody else has worked out pretty well. I'm not sweating the left guard thing because it's not going to be Eichenberg, hopefully. And that makes me just feel a little bit safer that it's not going to be Liam Eichenberg. Austin Jackson's supposedly done okay. I mean, I haven't been out to camp personally because I'm on the air when it's on, but I feel like
he looked all right in the preseason game. I saw him standing up. He looked all right.
I mean, look, he had it. I mean, the thing is with Austin, it's not like Austin sucked. He just hasn't played. We don't know. Yeah. He had a bad injury, and then I think Robert
he got
Hunt
shredded, bro. You seen him? He's looking yoked. But he been on the plan.
Well, it's a big year for him, man, because they didn't pick up his option, so he can. I mean, listen, offensive linemen, how everybody needs offensive linemen these days. If you don't suck, you'll get paid. So
that's right.
He's he probably knows what a big opportunity this is in front of him. And then listen, Robert Hunt, who doesn't love a guy who will just score touchdowns out of
Robert Hunt, meat and potatoes guy, bro. Give me an offensive line full of Robert Hunts. We're gonna get some shit figured out. We're gonna be all right. As long as they ain't snapping it over my quarterback's head, damn it. What the fuck? I like Isaiah Wynn, though, at the left guard. I feel like that's doing all right. I feel like, from what I saw. And Lamb next to him.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Terrible.
I haven't been looking at this and been like, oh, man, this is a complete disaster. No, the thing that makes you scared right now is Armstead and his recovery, because Armstead misses games and he's not getting any younger. And if he misses games, that's always going to have a domino effect to make you more vulnerable. But as far as like the other positions are concerned, I'm like, all right, I think they're okay. If Connor Williams can stop, acting like he's, I don't know, snapping it to the moon.
I don't know. What does he do? Who's he think's back there? Back there? Freaking Jimmy Butler back there trying to catch that? What the fuck's going on? Anyhow, I think I was hoping all offseason, because we didn't make any big splashes at signing these offensive linemen or anything like that. I was just under the impression that this Mike McDaniel outside zone scheme is going to take effect, because we saw the building blocks of it last year, but we really didn't get to see that how it's ran in the 49ers, where they literally make like a square lane and the guys get to the second level in these zones. We've been seeing them in practice. We've been seeing it in the preseason, and coupled with the running game, and you spoke to it earlier, these decent running backs are looking really great out of it behind this line in the run game. I feel all right. I'm not off the deep end with the friggin' offensive line, So I'm glad to hear you're not either.
Well, it's also like, man, listen, they were 6th in offense last year, and that's with a running game they didn't feel great about, even though the averages were fine, and them not knowing the offense. So everybody having more time in the system together and familiarity, maybe 6 is going to be a tough thing to match, but like, who's to say they can't with the weapons they have? It's not out of the realm of possibility either.
Go get Jonathan Taylor. We're going to beat that. Give me that Jonathan Taylor right now. I don't care. I want to be pig-headed. Why can't we be pig-headed, Dolphin fans? And you know what? To the Dolphin fans that consistently are out there. We don't need him. Well, I don't need a lot of stuff I get. I want it, and don't be afraid of greatness, Dolphin fans. No one ever is upset because something's done too good. You know what I'm saying? Give me something overwhelming. I want things too well, Got a couple of the fellas in the back. Gonna bring them up, chop it up. I know they got some things they want to get in. First off, Shake Money. What up, Shake? Got the Stogs out. We got
good,
Ali in
What's
here.
up, Shake?
And then a color commentary as well. Let's go ahead, fellas. I know you've been probably chomping at the bit.
Go ahead, Shake. No, go ahead.
Not all at the same time now.
No, go ahead. Good. Okay. So, Tobin, I do have a question. And you guys kind of touched on it about some of the cuts that we've had already on the team that's been announced today. Were there some disappointments on that list? Like you were disappointed to see them cut? I mean, obviously, we all want them to be successful, obviously. But, I mean, as a fan, was there some disappointment in the list that you saw? Like, was there a name that like, man, did they have to let them go?
I don't think from this list in particular that there was. I'm curious to see what tomorrow brings and see how that goes, whether that be, in the wide receiver room or if there is a surprise running back, if it is a Brooks or if it is an Ahmed, if that is going to give you a little bit of a gut punch and be like, I don't know about that. I know that Peely's kind of been the guy that everybody's been like buzzing about. And so like the idea that maybe it's leading towards him getting a roster spot's kind of cool because it seems like he's flashed a lot. But no, I don't think I looked at anybody today and was like, gut punch.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a really big Peely fan as well. The one for me though on this list was Aubrey Miller. I kind of hoped more from him.
Yeah, it's a good story that Aubrey Miller.
A good story. That's kind of what I was kind of hoping for. But we'll see. Maybe he'll make the practice squad.
Maybe.
I think he's on the short list for that practice squad for certain, bro. Mm-hmm. I do too. So, Shake.
Yeah, what's going on, bro?
Nada, man. I know that you and Tobin from back in the olden days. You guys,
WBRY.
Yes,
the WBRY times.
Back when it was Pirate in the Highway Information Station.
Anything you want to.
No, that was back.
I mean, listen, you can go ahead and tell Tobin he's been wrong. Just let him know, Shake. I know, not just fucking with you, Tobin. Go ahead.
But that was back when I was DJ Shake. Yeah,
man, I remember when that thing. Like, I don't know if you've been there recently, man, but like, it's on an FM dial now, and like they got like multiple chairs in there. I remember when that thing used to just face a wall with like a old ass PC computer.
Oh yeah, and then the soundboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could only have like really two guests. And how is it looking from the dorm? Because I remember it was kind of you could only see the people, you know what I'm saying? It's like
you would have people like listening in and like they'd be prank calling you the entire time. So it's a wild one for sure.
I'll never forget. I got this one call. One caller said he wanted to drink my babies. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Jeez. Got to give him, at least some originality. Yeah, that's a new one. Something to Ali. What Ali said a second ago. A guy that I don't want to say it's surprise, and I knew he was going to get cut, but a dude that I noticed the last two preseason games was that safety Kendron Smith. That guy seemed like he was all over the field. I wonder if he'll get put back on the practice squad.
By the way, were you there when Joey was there too?
Yeah, man. No, Joy and I did. Joy and I were in classes together, events together, and then Joy and I worked on the same morning show at 790 for a while. She and I were both producers for Hockman and Zaslow, and then she got the co-hosting spot next to Zaslow, so I was their EP for a while. So yeah, it was a weird that Barry connection went strong for a while.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. And then I remember the pool parties used to be epic too.
Yes. And then until they kicked our fraternity off campus.
Oh shit. Yeah, but when was the last time you went to Barry?
Probably like a homecoming a couple years back, maybe before COVID. I see a lot of the guys from the sports information department, and I drive by it every day because the station's pretty much on Northeast 2nd, like right there.
Mhm.
So I drive by it basically every day.
Okay. Yeah, because I live on the west coast of Florida right now, so I haven't
Nice.
been there in a while. I keep tabs of Jesse and Nate.
Haven't
those
seen
other
Jesse in
guys.
a while. I hear from Nate every now and then on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's pretty much. And what's his name? What they call him? Damn it, not Danger, DJ Danger.
Yeah, DJ Danger. Yeah. Rodney.
Him.
Yep.
Rodney and damn it, he was a big producer. He kind of looked like Dwayne Wade a little bit.
Trying to remember. I remember Rodney though. I saw him all the time.
So his name's Rodney,
Watt,
and he calls
Watt,
himself
something
Mr.
Watt.
Danger.
Yeah,
DJ
DJ
Danger.
Danger.
DJ Danger.
He was like,
smart.
Yep.
Yeah, that's smart. Good.
He was actually a real DJ. You know, he reminds me a lot of, because he's from Philly. He if you was to listen to him talk, he sounds a lot like D1. He talks just like D1 talks.
D1 is a guy in the community around here that frequents the programs. He actually has a super successful YouTube channel called South Florida Accountability. It's
That's Big Nick.
Oh, that's Big Nick. D1. My fault. D1 Chosen. Okay, I got you. Yeah. I keep seeing this pop up around here. I don't know. I'm looking for it on Twitter, but I've seen it in chat a couple times. Dolphins traded Feeney to the Browns. Is that real? I'm looking on not Twitter, X, which gosh, it just doesn't roll off the tongue just saying one syllable letter.
Yeah.
You know, you need a little bit more.
We're Xing each other now. And stuff.
Yeah, I'm all X'd out and just, I don't know, just like, and now it's posts, not tweets. I don't like change. I'm getting old.
Anyway, Tobin, good evening. How you doing tonight? It's very nice to meet you.
Hey, thanks, man. Good to meet you.
I'm
too.
the guy known for the hard-hitting questions around here.
Here we go. So knock it out of the park, color.
I mean, everybody has been waiting with bated breath. I ask every one of our guests this question, and it's the most hard-hitting question you're ever going to get all week.
I'm ready.
Which one is your favorite logo?
Oh, I love the throwback, like the OG. Like not even close.
Original with the offset dolphin, or
yeah.
Okay.
Like that's my favorite. I want it back. I hate this. I hate's a strong word, but like I'm just so meh on the current one that looks like you're at a water park.
Yeah.
It's grown on me though. It's kind of grown on me.
Remember when they were supposed to have a water park there, and then Stephen Ross is like, "No water park."
Oh man, that's almost like it never existed. They quieted that. It never existed. I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah.
I thought they Mandela affected me with that whole thing.
Dude, I would pass that every day going to the station. There was a sign, water park coming here. And then like, I don't know, it was probably like 2014. It just went away. The sign was gone. Poof.
So, El Cap, your question about Feeney, there is some truth to the story. Dolphins have been working on moving Feeney, who's guaranteed $3.1 million, but is never really in the mix for the starting job over the past 6 weeks, according to Barry Jackson. There's rumors that it could be the Bears, but you said the Browns. I haven't seen that one.
No, it was the Bears. I said the Bears, not the Browns.
Oh, I thought you said Browns.
All right. Looks like this might shake and bake. Wonder what that's all about.
So one of
not Eichenberg, huh?
I actually came across you on Twitch of all places. I'm kind of one of those ones that likes to browse around there looking for any kind of content. You know how Twitch is.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed how you kind of have embraced that platform and others, of course, along with having a live air presence on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a novice. I do this for fun, and I just emulate what.
Listen to that voice, Tobin. That's a radio voice.
Well, I just emulate what has been thrown at me my whole life. I'm a couch potato, so you know what I mean. I just kind of like am mimicking y'all. You know what I mean? But it's nice. It's like nice. I think it's nice to see some, that happening. I know there's a couple, husband and wife couple out of Minnesota that ended up balking their radio station and going to Twitch like full time. I forget what their name is now, but they're outperforming that radio station when it comes to monetary gain, and it's kind of interesting to watch that dynamic. How do you? So obviously, you see the value in expanding in the way things media is going to be delivered now and in the future. I don't think that means radio's dying per se. I still love to flip on the radio and drive down the road. It's
radio will never die, bro.
Media to consume when you're, let's say if you have a job where you're driving a lot or whatever, morning commute, that kind of stuff. But even as things like YouTube start to be easier to stream for people in those situations, my cohort here, Ali, and I are trying to hit it first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. and we're talking to 20, 30 people in the morning, you know what I mean? Just bringing Dolphins content. I guess the question I'm getting into is, what is the real mood in the building in places where you've been around, a lot of the older guys that have been doing radio a long time, and even some of the guys, what's for the guys that haven't chosen to embrace the new media and all that, what's the mood there? Do they feel a little kind of not jealous, but like, almost like they're the warehouse worker that's losing out to the new paradigm?
Yeah, it's a fun question. Because out of all the hosts there, I'm not a young guy, but I'm the youngest of all the hosts that we got. And my when Leroy and I just started out when we moved to the new studio buildings and we were doing mornings, I was honestly just we weren't even live streaming. I was just taking a iPhone, filming the two shot of us and dubbing our audio on it and throwing up on YouTube afterwards. And it was starting to get some traction, but like it really honestly, we needed it when the pandemic hit to do it live because we couldn't see each other. We were hearing each other, but we'd always done a show. We'd obviously getting our mannerisms is a very important thing on it. It seems stupid, but like seeing that Leroy is annoyed with me is a very important part of the show. So we were doing it and still we're just kind of doing it. Honestly, we were doing it via Skype, which I don't know how Skype dropped the bag to Zoom, but they did.
They totally did.
They had a great recording system. So I was doing it via that. And they were seeing like, hey, these clips are doing numbers. Let's do the show live like that. And we're like, great, let's do it. And they didn't. The company actually had a partnership with Twitch, which is why we initially did the show just on Twitch and not YouTube. And it was really cool because we had like all these listeners chiming in, but they all kind of had like their own personalities. Like I'm sure you guys do with all the listeners you have tuning in here. And so that was just a really cool interactive way because like the one thing that with radio that I would say is probably dying the most is not radio itself. It's the caller. Like people used to be like, all right, Hank Goldberg or Mandich would say, hey, what are your calls? Blah, blah, blah. And you would call in, and that was kind of the judge of like how much you were buzzing. But like, I
really think you're spot on there with the interaction because we've got 123 people watching right now,
right?
And we have about, I would say, anywhere from 30 to 60 regulars in our chat that we see every night. And these people have an opportunity to interact with us right away. Even when let's say if I'm watching Dono or somebody on his YouTube stream, it's nice that I don't have to wait all day on a busy signal just to, get a comment out to a guy talking at me all day long.
But I mean, that thing when you got on the call and then you hang up and then the delay and you go and you run over to the radio and you grab in the truck and your friends are sitting out front and there you are talking on the radio requesting that song. I remember that stuff, man. It's there's this je ne sais quoi about it that I really miss at times, How do you like
Twitch?
What,
those phone screeners were worse than a fucking bouncer at a nightclub though.
Oh man.
How do you handle that, like with the influx of like having to deal with like hundreds of people throwing comments at you all the time?
It's usually, I think that Leroy's actually really good at picking stuff up like that. My video producer Jen's really good at picking up stuff like that. and they kind of know the right ones to throw up there. I know who the regulars are. I kind of always have my eye on them, and they'll usually get a lot of that stuff spun in. Well, usually I'd say the call's not completely dead on our show. I will go to it, but the thing that I like is, I've realized that it's a lot of Twitchers just coming over because they want to be part of the bit on the air.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because when I first moved over to QAM, and it was my first time being on QAM, and it was almost a year ago when we made our switch. The callers, when we took callers, it was like landing on another planet because they were very serious sports radio callers, and they were not for the shenanigans. And so that was just a very strange thing. But we eventually got them, I think, trained. But the thing that's great about the Twitch is I didn't really need them. We could have our community, and everybody would kind of be in on the joke as it is. So that's definitely been the biggest thing. And I think the thing that is cool, that's been awesome to see with sports content, and I tell this to anybody who wants to do this, is look, you can go build your own audience. This is not, this is you guys just put Miami Dolphins in the title of your video, be passionate about it, be regular about putting up your content, and you'll build the following. I mean, people are going to be starving for it, and they want to find stuff. And the thing that I think that's cool about YouTube and Twitch as opposed to radio is just kind of had a catty, this station versus this station. But with YouTube, it's all guaranteed. If somebody watches your channel, they probably watch another Fin's channel and another Fin's channel, or watches my channel, because it all is an algorithm to, hey, if you like this, you'll like this. That's the beauty of YouTube and Twitch, is they're rabbit holes. They'll continue to feed you down. So I think that's the cool thing, is it's just a lot more communal, I think, than a lot of other mediums.
Great word. Great way to put it. I think you're 100% spot on, because we've got friends of other channels in the community. They come on, we go there, stuff like that. There is some infighting amongst channels at times, but I think, it's funny because when the Dolphins are doing bad, the channels are at war. Dolphins are on the up. Everybody's holding hands.
Of course.
So it goes the way of the Dolphins. They control quite a bit of that. I do think that there's a world in which there's never going to be enough, man. There just isn't. There's never enough. Not for us diehards, bro. We can't get enough.
And by the way, I guarantee you 80% of the people that listen to AM radio still read newspapers.
Oh, dude, no doubt. No doubt. The old love newspapers, and they love AM Crackle.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the answer to that, man. That was, so that being said, Ali and I, you're certainly welcome. We'll take your call all the time. There'd be no busy for you if you want to chime in anywhere from 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning.
There you go.
Tailgate.
I'll be happy to do it, man. I'll pop on once in a while for sure.
Yeah.
And yes, that was egregious. I'll admit.
Shameless at that, Yeah. How do you like Twitch? Because we stream on Twitch, but I confess, when I started this, listen, I'm not a computer guy. I'm not even, I'm kind of a dumbass, but I could work hard. And so I figured out a lot of the YouTube stuff, figured out a lot of the StreamYard, the broadcast. But Twitch, it's just one more world I got to kind of figure out. And I've kind of not done that. How do you like that? You like the Twitch? Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, it's just the same thing. You could just add it to your StreamYard and click it on there, and you'll just see the purple. I would say, I know it's got some different functions as far as what stays, or you have to do so many hours before you can keep videos posted or things like that. But it's cool because I do think you get a lot of weirdos kind of venturing in, and so it's a little bit of a different taste. But I would say
they're the dark web on there sometimes.
But I would say our most hardcore viewers are the Twitchers, because they were there from the beginning of the live stream for me and Leroy. We definitely get more on YouTube. That's not even a question, but the people who get the show the most and have the jokes, we will go to the comments of Twitchers. I would say probably it's a 70-30 split, because they just get it, and they're usually just funnier and more hardcore and on it. And not that there aren't great YouTubers, but I could just tell the people who have just been there since the beginning, and
they know the jokes.
Yeah,
they get the insides.
Yeah, so I really dig that from them.
Hey, let me ask you this. It's not a Dolphin question, but how strong do you feel that Miami is going to get Damian Lillard?
I feel very strong about it because I just think that they're going to end up realizing that they don't want to bring him into camp. And I don't really think there is another option for him. Like, even if you see all the Blazers PR stuff, like, they don't advertise them anymore. That's all like their young guys. I think Cronin, knowing that he had to go to the league to whine to shut Damian Lillard up, basically, was such a low rent move from him. But I don't really see what the other move is out there for anybody. Like, people said the Celtics was like one of those teams. Well, who are they trading? They just gave Jaylen Brown $300 million. So you're telling me the Blazers would rather have broken Malcolm Brogdon, broken Robert Williams, as opposed to Tyler Hero, Jovic, Jaquez, and a boatload of picks? I don't know. There's been stupid things thrown out there like, oh, one of the Timberwolves trade for him. So I just don't think the other options are out there. I do think that there's been a lot of stubbornness on both sides, especially from the Blazers, that they didn't want to feel like they're getting fleeced. But I honestly don't think they're going to get that fleeced, because I do think that some of the nice pieces that
it's a lot of young budding talent in that trade too. Yeah,
I think so, and I do think that do you think
it's gonna pay off? That's the real question. If the trade goes through, is this the right move?
I think it's as good a addition as they can make, because that's kind of what they've been looking for next to Jimmy and Bam for these last 4 years, is like that go-to scorer. And I think, like, look, Tyler has the potential to do that, but it's just like he's been hurt the last 2 playoffs, and Jimmy's only got so many cracks at this thing. And I think that they kind of want to have more of a sure thing than is this going to be the playoffs that Tyler Hero shows up, because he really hasn't had a good playoffs since he was a rookie.
Yeah, I agree. We've been all holding our breath for that Tyler Hero we saw that year, and he shows up. But yeah, dude, you can't. Dude, the shame is we say it a lot with Jimmy Butler. We do not want to see this go to waste, the greatness that he does for us and how he's been for this organization. They got to do something. We need that big 3. We need that third guy. So I guess, I don't know. You think you think it's going to happen?
I do think it's going to happen. I mean, training camp gets started on October 2nd is media day, so the 3rd would be camp starting up. So I would say look for like the middle of September. Like, let's see if that's probably when things would crank up for it. But look, I could be wrong. Maybe Blazers don't want to do business, but would be very surprised if they want to go into training camp and make things that weird. Because here's the thing, he's muzzled them. He's muzzled Dame to this point, like where Dame can't go to the media, but eventually it's mandatory that Dame has to talk to the media, because he's at camp, he's at an NBA event. So what, you're going to muzzle him? He's not going to be allowed to answer things truthfully. So that's going to be where things get weird for the Blazers GM, and I don't think he wants a part of that. I don't think he wants to get called a liar in the media.
Yeah. They don't like that. They're not interested in the bad PR that comes with that stuff. And that's the true players league, where the NFL is gearing closer and closer. And it's those kind of situations that I kind of look at with this Jonathan Taylor situation. If the Colts don't trade him, and now, like, what happens now? You know what I'm saying? What's the next step in that if the Colts don't end up trading him? Or is it going to enter into that whole weird circumstance where he's holding in, is it going to count to a roster spot? They have an option to potentially put him in a non-injury reserve type of list where they can, screw him out of his money. And there's just, to me, it looks like it's going to get uglier before it gets better. I think that's why when we're talking trades, I think the Dolphins are going to get this deal done. I'm going hard in the paint on this Dolphins Jonathan Taylor, and I'm not buying the mystery team that no one can seem to identify as the guy. They're going to snake the deal from us.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that tomorrow should be a fun day. It feels like
I'm pre-ordering
You know?
my Taylor jersey.
I saw some people try and do that on Twitter that are apparently not letting you as a Dolphins. So who knows? Maybe that shows something.
Well, you know what happens the second they do let you pre-order it. He's already on the roster. You know,
I was going to say that might be a sneaky way to get an inside scoop. Like as soon as you're able to order it, you know the deals went down and the rights have been shifted over.
Well, let me ask you this, Tobin. For the people out there, if they was to ask you, give me 2 jerseys that would be safe to buy this year from this team for this year, who would it be?
For the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Outside of Tua and Tyreek Hill and Waddle.
And
outside, I guess Snowman would be one. And then probably JP. I would probably go Jalen Phillips.
You're not going to get a Liam Eichenberg jersey? What's wrong?
Definitely
not. I got
my fans. Liam Eichenberg is the new Jesse Davis in this fan base right now. I mean, there's always the poor guy, dude. He has no anchor. It seems like if he gets to jump off the ball and he's not on the balls of his feet, he seems to be okay, unless he's whiffing, which we see him do that. But if he's on the balls of his feet and takes the hit, he's a turtle on his back. What's going on with this guy?
Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I started a fan club, right, for this certain player.
Oh yeah, I knew when you were talking about Noah Igbenogany that Shake was going to bring this up. I knew when I brought Shake up, he was going to let you know about what he thinks about Noah.
Switched over brands, so
he
you
did.
know that
He's got his Shake Money brand put up here. Here it comes.
Here we go, man. Here we go. Check this out.
The Noah Igbenogany.
I'm part of Noah's Ark. That's the Noah Igbenogany official fan club.
Shake is the official captain of Noah's Ark.
Yes, he absolutely is.
Picking up followers along the way, picking up stragglers in the ocean.
Yeah, he's doing whatever he can. He's got caged animals in that thing. He's going hard. So, been going for a little over an hour and a half. You want to drop the link, bring some of these cats up here so you see what they can field? How much time you got, Tob?
I got a couple more minutes if you guys don't mind, as I do have to get up early with the kids tomorrow. So
absolutely. I don't want to hold you too long now. Let's see if we can get 1 or 2 peoples in here to
people would be the equivalent to the actual callers on the radio. These are the ones that actually aren't afraid to come up and show the world their voice.
Now, without getting too graphic here, because we got graphic last night with talking about it, when drop this link and it goes across the 3 Facebooks and the Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, you don't know where some of these people are coming from, but you can bet that it's on the dark web. You got to be very careful with some of these people coming up here, because I'm telling you what, we've had a couple of incidents, to say the least. Let's just say a guy had his member in a cage, I guess. I don't know. Wire wrapped around it. I don't know if it was barbed wire. I don't know what was going on, but it was something else, to say the least.
Yeah, you get flashers around here, man.
Yeah, you get
this guy Crypto. No, I'm just kidding.
So Crypto and Lewis, couple of other guys, the Rabid Dolphin and Crypto Dolphin, a couple of other affiliates of the program. They got shows on the network too. Fellas, why don't you go ahead first?
Oh man, I'm put on the spot. Well, Tobin, what's up?
What's up,
very
man?
Nice to talk to you. Oh man, bracing for I'm down in Tampa area. I'm manage for True Leaf, so we're getting ready for the storm. But I'm out here in the Aventura area making a delivery down here. So, but I really didn't even have no question. I just wanted to come up and say it was an absolute pleasure listening to you. I think you and Cap vibed very well off each other, and I appreciate, because I had a 4-hour drive in front of me, and you guys got me through my night. So I just wanted to stop by and say that.
Well, drive safe, be safe with all the storms out there and whatnot, man.
Yeah, and deliver the product. Don't use the product while you're working. Come on.
No. Not while we're working. Just doing delivers.
That's right. So. That True Leaf gets you true leaving. Go ahead, Crypto.
Exactly.
Real quick, Crypto. Before you go, we had a couple of people ask in the audience. Just a quick update on the storm. currently sitting off the low is sitting off the just off the coast of the Marina Cabo Peninsula in Cuba, and expected to head north and then eventually turn northeast into the Florida Cape, the main Cape. And it looks like right now the cone of uncertainty has its center passing just north of Cedar Key. For those that you were interested, that's due west of Gainesville.
Yep. And my uncle who just moved here from New York, who's got an unhealthy fear of hurricanes, is going to be hit with a hurricane within the first 2 months of him being here. So we gonna let him in right. You want to be a Floridian, you got to earn it.
Hell yeah.
Go ahead, Crypto.
Hey, what's going on, Tobin?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
All right, pretty good. Hey, I got a question. We have the big, 53-man cut coming down, within the next, actually 16 plus hours, we'll have a final 53-man roster. As far as from a fan perspective, how much weeping and gnashing of teeth do you expect? Because so many players are going to be on this team still, because we expect them to be thrown away, or some surprise additions that we didn't expect to be on the team.
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know how many fans will be belly aching too much, because I don't know this. I know that's one of those things with the coaching staff. They talk about how hard it is to get that back end of the roster and getting those guys, and you don't want to feel like you're missing out. I do feel like the Dolphins are at a bit of a different stage in that you kind of know who the guys are going to be already that need to be good. So I don't know how much guys are going to quibble over oh man, I can't believe we didn't keep this guy, this project, because I don't know if the Dolphins have time for many of those projects and to stash guys. There's always a potential that a guy has a gem. Look at last year, Skylar Thompson. He kind of came out of nowhere, lit up the preseason, and he got to earn himself a roster spot because they were so afraid of him getting poached. So I don't know if there's
played in a
anybody
playoff game too.
and played in a playoff game. So I don't know if there's anybody who's that quite of can't afford to let him go or whatnot. But
on the flip side, there are going to be some people make this roster that a lot of people believe that shouldn't make the roster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with you, especially the guys you think about, the higher draft pick guys.
Right.
The Channing Tindalls. Kept around. Yeah, you and
the Eichenbergs.
Exactly.
If I could ask you real quick, Tobin.
Yeah.
The division from first to worst in the AFC East.
Okay, the worst is going to be the Patriots because Mac Jones is a bum.
Facts.
Okay.
I think third's going to be the Jets because I think that Aaron Rodgers is a hippie and is going to be doing ayahuasca middle of the season. He has some kind of a thumb injury. I also just think they've been a little bit overplayed. I'm going to go with the Bills in second because they're crybabies, and Josh Allen has, been talking like a punch-drunk boxer. I'm tired of taking the hits. I'm tired of running. I think he's telling the truth. I don't think that's gamesmanship. And if he's just going to be back there throwing, turnover machine, plus the infighting with Stephon Diggs.
Yes, I'm glad you said it. I can't wait for that shit to hit the fan come week 7.
Not enough to slide them into last place or third, but just enough to get them behind us. Okay.
You can't slide into last place because of Mac Jones. It's he's already claimed his territory.
Well, hold on a second. That Madden curse could come back.
Yeah.
That Madden curse could put him in fourth.
Yeah.
All right, let's. I got 3 people in the back. I'm gonna bring them one up at a time, and then we're gonna let Tobin get the hell out of here, guys. And so be quick, guys. We're gonna bring Todd up here first. What's going on, Todd? I'm sure you got a question for Tobin.
Well,
fire
I
away.
just want to say I appreciate his show, him and Leroy. Man, they put on a great show. Great coverage of all the teams down here.
560 WQAM. Check him out.
But I am disappointed with him saying Mac Jones when it's supposed to be Whack Jones.
Oh,
very fair point, Todd. I apologize.
Yeah.
But no, overall, man, you put on a great show. You and Leroy, love watching your show every day. Just wanted to say thanks.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Todd. See ya. We got Robert coming in here next. Robert.
Good evening, gentlemen.
What up, homie?
It's going, my man. I'm just reading
Hey,
right
what's
now. We'll
happening?
make it quick though. So, Tobin, first off, love your show. You guys are entertaining as hell. I do
Thanks,
appreciate it. What do you think about the Christian Wilkins debacle and like that whole mess? And what would you pay him on top end of the salary?
You know, it was interesting
question.
seeing. Yeah, it was interesting seeing those salaries get released today and saying that he wasn't maybe in the top, but he was in line with some of the other guys. Dude on the Titans, like like he was getting 20 plus million a year. I found that interesting that they were starting to leak that stuff because that makes me feel like, oh, they're not going to be close to this, because when those deets start getting out there of what he hasn't accepted, makes me feel like the PR move from the Dolphins to say like, this isn't
We
going
did
anywhere.
all we could, you
Did all we
guys.
could. I don't think he's going to demand a trade, though. I don't think he's going to be like, get me out of here. I do think that Christian Wilkins is probably going to go about this as, okay, I'm going to go some ball out. Now, that may be he wants out as a Dolphin next year. But, I kind of can see both sides. I can see his of it because I do think that in a lot of ways, he is the heart of this defense. He's done everything there's been asked of him to do. I do think that he's gotten better. But on the Dolphins side of it, like, you're not quite the elite of the elite, and we do have a budget on it. And I do think Chris Greer wants to keep him around because that's one of his hit picks. But, it does feel very much like we're getting to, it's not going to come to an agreement. And especially with the Sealer deal happening, I feel like Christian and his representation, whatever they were trying to get, definitely feels like they were dragging out and they were trying to get everything the Dolphins were. And then where does Chris Greer go to get a hometown deal on somebody? Well, he goes to Drew Rosenhaus and he signs up Zach Sealer because they have a great relationship. And that's where he can go get one of his homemade guys and get a deal from him.
Sweet.
Real quick and I'll let you get a response in a second, Robert.
You're good, Cap.
I mean, is Christian Wilkins that much better than Zach Sealer? He's going to get all of his guarantees and more in just 1 year for the multiple years with Zach Sealer?
Think so.
No.
Not my opinion.
This is smart business move.
So that lines up perfectly with where I'm going, Cap. We had a discussion today earlier in Spaces, and somebody wanted to make an argument about dynasties and not letting players go in dynasties and just paying them because you're your guy and it's how you start a dynasty. But that's never chucked out in football. We've seen one dynasty in the last 20 years, and we're seeing the birth of a second right now. But they aren't paying everybody top end dollar, regardless of how good they are. They're managing their money and they're setting a value on players, and they're willing to budge off that. So I personally applaud Chris Greer for having a value in an assessment and sticking to it. Now, the question becomes, does he evaluate talent appropriately in regards to their actual cost and actual value? That's a different discussion than being, is he operating in a way that is consistent with building a good organization? And I think those are two different points to have. And I think they get conflated. What's your take on that?
I think for his standpoint is that he has gotten to the part of his build here where we know Chris has been really good at making the home run trade and kind of going with the F them picks mentality. But on the certain picks that you do have, eventually you are going to have to want to keep some of these guys. And I do think the thing that's been good about it is they've stacked up enough of their good draft picks to where the cycle probably won't come until a lot of these vets are up. Christian's an interesting conundrum because I get it. He doesn't get the sacks, but man, I mean, he is just such a horse as far as doing everything out there and stuffing the run. You can't get past him. And I do think that it's not like that's his number one thing on this side of the football is getting the sacks. They have the pass rushers to go do that. But do I think he's the best defensive tackle in the league? No, I don't think he's been that. So should he get paid like that? No, I get that argument from him, but it is going to be an interesting thing from the standpoint of a team. If you go and get the highest paid running back, and you have the highest paid wide receiver, and you have one of the highest paid pass rushers, and all that stuff, and all of these guys were drafted. What does that say? I can understand where that would make a little bit of some of the guys uneasy, but then again, is it going to mean like any of them are going to force a trade? No, because when their time comes up, if Jalen Waddle's made as one of the highest paid receivers in the league, when his time comes, then I don't think he's going to say, no, you guys did Christian Wilkins wrong.
Yeah, no, and I don't know if it's going to affect us losing him compared. Hard to say that, but I don't know, man. I don't think so. Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, all that comes down to just how you manage players. And when Waddle comes up for his contract, Tyreek Hill is probably out the door. He's probably looking at retirement. And I think things have been built and structured in that fashion very explicitly to enable that. It's the same deal with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. His deal is structured the same way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's no clear backfall for Christian Wilkins, and since that was the first player we really started with, and we just haven't gotten around to putting in that star behind him yet, that's probably part of it. But I mean, we got Zach Seawer, and Zach Seawer is just a smidgen less.
Yeah.
Like the difference is negligible, and I love that we were able to sign him for a good deal. So I think a lot of these pieces are backed up. The one where we're probably missing a point of emphasis that should be looked at is probably safety and probably linebacker. And then running back, we've never really done anything with it, but hopefully we get Taylor.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pass it off to the next person, Cap. I'm sorry.
Appreciate you, Robert. Thank you, brother. We'll see you next time. And last person, quickly, Landusky. What's going on?
Hey, what's good, bro?
What's happening, homie?
Welcome, Tobin.
Hey, what's up, Landusky?
Hey, Tobin, you started a war, man. You picked the Twitchers over the YouTubers. I'm gonna let them know tomorrow. So I got you. I got you tomorrow.
Come on, man. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
I'm gonna let them know.
You don't have to do that.
I got you. I got you. And the
Damn.
question is,
Calling you out with a quickness. Thought you were getting off easy.
Nah.
Damn.
And the question is, are you a 2-and-on?
Am I in Tua and on?
Are you a 2-and-on?
Yeah, I really like Tua.
Yeah.
I'm really bought in on. But you know what it is, man? I think the thing that like really sold me on Tua more so, it's not even like, do I think he's gonna be elite? I think he's really, really damn good. I just really like the guy, and I think he is really good. And it's like, I remember I was doing like a lot of media during Flores' last year, and I was going to a lot of press conferences. I just thought it was so crappy how they hung him out to dry like that, like every single week. And like Flores would always no-sell it, and Greer wasn't doing any press conferences, and Tua had to go out there every week and ask about a new rumor this and a new rumor that. And so, yeah, when he came around last year and they did build him up and they did get him the weapons, I'm just like, good. Like, how can you not be happy for that? And I remember the way it was like the night he got drafted. It just felt like this fan base was so excited about it because the whole tank for Tua thing. Guy came back from a gnarly injury. And yeah, so I think I'm a huge fan of Tua. I like the way that he carries himself. I like the way that he plays. I do think that he tries to make himself better every year. And man, I really hope that this jiu-jitsu stuff works out. He keeps his head clean, and this guy rocks. I think honestly, I think that guy plays. If he plays a full season, I think he's off to the races, man. I really do.
I mean,
by the way,
point,
as you were saying that, I all I could hear was that parody song you did over the rainbow in my head.
To me and to Dolphin fans, as we currently sit, man, Tua working out is best case scenario. If he doesn't, and we're looking to make a change at quarterback next year, I mean, damn, dude, I just don't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just have a certainty, and we're talking this time success and extensions and making this a pattern of victory over the years to come, because that path lies with a clear future with Tua working out. So
I agree.
All right, Landusky, I appreciate you coming up, brother. I'm going to drop you in the back. Everybody, thank you for coming. Hit the like button. Tobin, thank you so much for coming through, man. Anytime, anything you need, Leroy can't make it, holla at your boy. I'll come up in that mud. I'll fill in,
Yeah, you guys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Appreciate it, Tobin.
Man,
Thank
Tobin,
you
it
very
was
much.
great. Again, we'll have to do this again sometime. And fins up, everybody. Take it
Fins
easy.
up.
Appreciate it.